Hello, this is DHG, and I'm going to be doing my review of F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin. Let me take a look at my notes here. My notes are unintelligible unless you notice the way I write things down. Okay, here we go. F.E.A.R 2 would be better off for people that prefer the Call of Duty-like feel. It's just the way that they set their controls up for this game. New interactions, new functionalities added. I didn't think it actually improved on the game Eddie. There's a little piece of that I'll get into later with the movable cover. I thought F.E.A.R 1 did the game more justice overall. It was a lot more original. It had simple controls, and the new controls they added just really didn't mean anything. Didn't take away from my experience or add to it at all. The graphics were greatly improved over the first game. It's a noticeable increase. It looks a lot better technically. You might not be able to tell the difference on console, but if you play on PC, you'll definitely know. I think the art direction was a little better in the first F.E.A.R game, though. This one looked better overall, but the art direction was better in the first F.E.A.R. In terms of sound, I don't have any complaints. All the guns made good pops. Everything seemed to be on like a real even keel. There didn't seem to be much fluctuation in the dynamic range of the guns, which, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, then you are, but I'm not. I hate it when something like makes me jump out of my seat just because of how loud it is compared to everything else. There's parts of the game where you can use a mech. I thought that was cool because I love mech games, but it feels out of place in a first-person shooter that's horror-themed. The story is pretty much bogus. The timeline for F.E.A.R 2 seems to be interweaved with the events in 1. And in this one, I guess you could call it the cliffhanger ending or whatever, the whole psychic interaction between you and Alma and the weird pregnancy thing going on was just bizarre, to say the least. There seemed to be less chaos going on in the fights versus F.E.A.R 1. If you go back and look at the F.E.A.R 1 playthrough, you'll notice all sorts of sparks and interactive environments like fire extinguishers blowing up, fuse boxes blowing up, all sorts of nasty stuff in the... I can't think if this one had shockwaves when grenades detonate, but that was a big thing in F.E.A.R 1. I thought the firefights looked a lot better in F.E.A.R 1 overall. There's not much of a knock on this game, since they're both great, but I give it towards F.E.A.R 1 a bit more. The addition of the aim down the sights, this is something that's new. And this goes back to my first point with the Call of Duty type stuff. You can now aim down your sights like you can in most first-person shooters. It's kind of standard nowadays, being 2022. But back then, a lot of developers were looking at Call of Duty and going, we gotta make ours a little bit more like that because it was so successful. It sort of lessened the visual impact of the firefights because in F.E.A.R 1, if you look at those videos, you'll see that you don't aim down the sights all except for one weapon. The rest of them leaves you a clear field of view where you can see all the chaos going on in front of you, and it's great. If I were the developers, I would not have added that, but they were probably pressured by the publisher to do so. Cover interaction. They added this, and I don't know why. It really doesn't... There's no point in using it. I can't think of a single instance throughout my playthrough where I thought, yo, that movable cover really saved my ass. Just didn't happen. It was just something they added that added nothing to the game. The weapons are all a blast. That is the most important thing in a first-person shooter. If the guns don't feel good, they're not satisfying to shoot, the whole game's just going to be garbage. I can think of a couple shooters like that right off the top of my head. But this isn't one of them. Depending on what guns you get, the one, I think it was called the 10mm high velocity penetrator, that was renamed in this game to the Hammerhead. It's still the same idea. but you get a couple new weapons in this game, like the sniper rifle. You don't see the part. No, you don't see the particle cannon again, but you do get some type of really cool laser weapon. They're all pretty fun to use. The incendiary grenades and the napalm cannon they're fun to use, but they're worthless in terms of gameplay. And the controls are good across all platforms. I originally played this on Xbox 360 back when it first came out, and I played it at maybe about 7 years ago with a gamepad on PC. This time I played through with mouse and keyboard. Doesn't matter which method you prefer, you're going to get better aim with a mouse and keyboard, obviously, but the gamepad is much more ergonomic because games were designed for that. The keyboard's just a freaking mess. I hate the keyboard. But overall, my experience while playing through F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin was good. As you know, my rating system, there's only 5 different ratings based upon my experience, and this one is good. You can pick it up off Steam, possibly GOG. It's maybe less than probably $10 by now. Pick it up if you get a chance, if you aren't so inclined.